PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. Some of you guys know that I just got off the Highlander launch for the Boston region. And let me reflect back a few minutes. So over the last 6 years, I've really been focused on the used car side for Toyota. There needs to be a place for off-lease cars to go. It's really getting hard to source used cars. Ask your used car manager or GSM or GM, how hard it is to find those quality used cars that we need to perpetuate this 40+ million used car run that we're in right now. And they'll tell you it's one of the most difficult things. We're sending letters to our service customers. Everybody I talk to hasn't got a letter from a dealership and they're trying to buy my car. So the commodity right now in the market is used cars, and it'll come back to new cars. It runs in a cycle. But 2 weeks of all out 100% in front of all the regional people from the Boston region talking about Highlander kind of made me realize when I first started selling Toyotas, I'll be honest with you guys, we were selling trucks at $39.95. Okay, this is less than $4,000. Of course, it didn't have a bumper, didn't have air, didn't have an outside passenger mirror, vinyl seats, vinyl floors, a 4-speed standard, and an engine that was about this size and only had 116 horsepower, actually 108 to start with when it was carbureted. So, not a whole lot of truck there, but it was indestructible. And people could buy this thing for cash and run it forever. Now you start looking at the hybrid Highlander that's on the doorstep right now, on the Platinum Series, $50,000. There's a lot of technology built into these cars. And trying to explain the technology just as a science to customer, I think is a losing proposition. You've heard me say it over and over. If you have a window of opportunity, a moment before they come in, I don't care if it's an hour or multiple days, the more information that you can get to the customer, and I'm not talking about blanket information about horsepower and torque and that we've increased the overall length by a little over 2 inches and the width of the vehicle by 0.2 of 1 inch. I mean, it's 0.2 of 1 inch. I mean, obviously, the new Highlander, we can say it's longer, it's bigger, it's heavier, it's got better gas mileage and better performance than ever before. But these numbers are fractional numbers of how much bigger the vehicle really is. There's some dynamics on the interior fit out. But I think the core of this is, how are they going to use the vehicle? Do they have 3 kids? Do they coach a soccer team? Are they using this because they like to travel in the summers? So the more that you could take the dynamics of what the engineers have put into the actual vehicle and create a story for the actual customer, the better off you're going to be. If you have that opportunity on a Wednesday and they're not coming in until Saturday, there are so many articles that have been written by Highlander. Highlander's done really well in the press. I mean, all the haters for the Toyota product that like to start their little conversation with, I really wanted to hate the 2020 Highlander. I mean, there's articles out there that start like that. I mean, that Toyota's got such a power in the market that the haters come out. But at the end of their conversation, after they do that first sentence trying to tell everybody, I really don't like Toyota, but, and then that but comes in and they start saying, this is the greatest thing that's ever been built, this thing's going to last forever. So there's some dynamics built into a purchase when you're looking at a new car. And I guess one thing I've always said is, nobody needs a new car. I've got a 2-year-old used Highlander sitting out there, whether it's certified or just pre-owned on the lot, that's only got 25,000 miles. How long is that going to last? The Highlander is the #1 vehicle sold in America that's over 11 years old. So it is the premier vehicle for people keeping forever. I mean, it's functional. It never loses its function. As the family grows up and the grandkids come, I mean, it's just continually a functional vehicle. So we know we've got some dynamics. So the resale value of a vehicle is paramount. You're in the car business. You would make so many more car deals in the year 2019 if the customer hadn't been multiple thousands of dollars upside down or out of equity in their trade-in. How can somebody buy a car, and I know they choose too long a term, but they've got to get it affordable where they feel like they can make the payment. They take a really long term. Now they're done with the vehicle because they really like new vehicles. And there's a group of people in America that just like new vehicles. I don't blame them. You don't have to worry about anybody else's problem. The car's covered under warranty. It's got that new car smell. I mean, there's a lot of allure to buying a new car. But 3 years into the ownership of the car they purchased, they're ready for another new car, and they come in and they're $8, $9, $10,000 upside down. They have no money down. The advertisements say, no money down, no money, no start, 0%, 0 payments. And they come in on that, and there's just nothing you can do for this customer. And the result is they usually get mad at us. If they did some research, in fact, let's don't do this. Let's act like they don't do any research at all. Let's act like they get excited about buying a brand new car. They look at multiple franchises, and they get excited at that new car smell and new car feel, and they don't do the research they should. You do it for them. It's a Wednesday contact for a Saturday appointment. If the resale value of the vehicle that you're selling is gigantic, then that needs to be part of the negotiation. A customer always wants a massive discount on the car. I mean, tell them the truth. If we could give you $12,000 off of this Camry you're buying right now, $12,000 cash back, 0% interest for 72 months, what does that do to the customer that bought a Camry 3 years ago? So when you see these other manufacturers doing this, understand it doesn't put the buyer in a better position, because people that have owned a 2, 3, 4, and 5-year-old vehicle of that same brand can't trade out of their car right now, and they've lost massive amount of equity. Here's where we are with our car. Here's the technology we built in the car. Let me send that to you in advance. Here is the value of the car based upon what we sold the car over the last 5 years. Here's what the sticker price is now. Here's what it was 5 years ago. You'll be amazed at how little Toyota's raised the price of the cars. In some cases, the price hasn't gone up at all. Make sure they understand that, and then give them the value at resale. I think these are the things that we need to discuss with the customer prior to them coming in. They need a few minutes to be able to digest this. If a customer comes in on a Saturday and they've been to 3 other dealerships and all that's left is negotiating price, I don't think that you even get the comment about any of this really is, I guess they're gracious and they let us finish our conversation, but I don't think it comes into play with the purchase. So the internet generated lead, all of these things give us an opportunity to be able to sell before the customer comes in. Let's look at some other entities real quick. I know I'm kind of jumping all over the place today, but man, it's after you go and get in front of 700 plus salespeople and managers and work with the staff in the regions, you realize that the cars are hard to explain. Alex and Christy, the training managers for the region, are amazing. Both of them are amazing. Christy did connected services. And if you sit through a real connected services class and you learn all the different options and all the trim levels and how all of it is applicable to each car, you walk out with a headache, because now that you understand all of it, you really got a handle on it, a month later, the whole parameter of the whole lineup changes again. So there's so many things that are coming, as we push to autonomous driving cars. Then Alex did the hybrid. And understanding hybrid, I mean, you have to almost be a super genius. I understand I don't have to put a whole lot of gas in it, and it goes a long way on a tank of gas, but to understand the complexes and how the Toyota's moving to hybrid. I mean, the 2021 Sienna is all hybrid. The unnamed Venza that they're launching at the New York Auto Show is all hybrid. Toyota is going to make the mark for gas mileage by 2025. The other manufacturers, I don't know what they're going to do, but we are moving our car lineup into the greenest car company in the world. I got it, there's electric car companies out there, but they don't sell a full line and a full spectrum of cars that can be filled up in the middle of nowhere in a desert at a gas station, and can be used coast to coast. So it's an interesting conversation. There's a lot into what I'm saying right now, but all of these things, if you could send documents and have a conversation with the customer before they come in, then all of this that the engineers are piling into these cars really become something that the customer will spend money on. The most important thing is that they've researched the car. And it doesn't matter how much research they've done. They may not have gone to your website. They haven't dropped you guys a chat or a lead to your dealership. They went to Cars Gurus. And the information is on there because we post it there. So they've researched the car. They know there's a couple of cars they're looking at. The only thing they haven't researched is you. So as I spent those 2 weeks in Boston, I realized how important that the salesperson is in this process. Since I started 30 plus years ago, they've always talked about that they're going to get rid of the salespeople, that it's just going to be a retail market for automobiles. Well, there's no way that can happen because the salesperson makes the car deal. The passion in the car deal comes from the salesperson. The passion doesn't come from the car. The Corolla's a great car, but when you walk up to it, you don't start dancing with it and fall in love with it. You fall in love with the story the salesperson tells, why they went to work for Toyota, what they see about the brand, what they see about the future. And that's why there's such a difference in the volume of salespeople out there. There's salespeople out there that do, and this is crazy, they average 60 deliveries a month. 60. I've got guys that hit me on Twitter or hit me on Messenger, and we talk all the time. And they're proud of the volume they do because it's an art to do a lot of cars. If you get caught up with one person on a Saturday for the whole day, you're not going to end up with 60 at the end of the month. But the more prep work you do before the customer comes in, the faster the delivery is. So watch the market, watch as things change. There's some novelty items out there in the used car side. I read an article and I posted it on Twitter and Facebook. You guys look it up. It's talking about Carvana and how many years they've been out there and how much money they've lost. They're buying cars that we don't want at the auction. There's no way that a Toyota dealership takes a car to the auction if we think we can retail out of that car. And that's with every manufacturer out there. So they're buying cars that have been passed over. They're putting them in vending machines. They're having to sell them at such a low price to draw people in that at the end of the year, it's a giant millions of dollars of net loss. So I don't know that they make it much longer. Now they're paying too much money for cars out of people's driveway, just searching for cars because they have to grow their volume. The used car business is super strong this year. Toyota's flattened out their new car build this year. It's not a giant increase in new car sales. It's pretty flat this year. So you'll find at the end of the year, we're going to be out of product this year. And to supplement your income, the used car business is going to be gigantic. We'll talk about that over the next couple of weeks. But remember, the one thing that I picked up on my 2 weeks by doing the Highlander launch is that this company is nothing without you guys. Without the great management team that we have in dealerships that talk to individual customers on a daily basis, and for the unbelievable sales professionals out there that work 60 and 70 hours a week and hope at the end of the month that you make enough money to justify your hours. You're the most awesome people I've ever worked with. That's why I've chosen to do this for 30 years. Look in the mirror and realize the reason why somebody bought a car today was because of you. Tell a story, become a storyteller, because people want to know how the product's going to work for them. PK52, the Saturday morning meeting.